Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dallas Philly podcast. It's your host Buna. All right, y'all. Preseason's under the belt, man. We got a lot of games going on, and honestly, after this first preseason game, I'm probably not gonna see any of these players for a good little while. So, today's series of videos, we're gonna be talking about way too early divisional winners. And so, I'm gonna start this off with the NFC North. So, looking at it. I like the Bears. I feel like y'all have the best coach in the division at this moment in time. Even recently, Ben Johnson was saying, hey, I want us to be the most high-powered offense because, logically, if you think about it, yeah, if you do score the most points, your defense may not have to do as much, and as long as you score more than the opponent, you're good to go. But I think y'all are probably the strongest contender to win the division again. I like DJ Moore, but I feel like y'all are more confident in Odunze and LB3, Luther Burton III. If that's not his nickname right now, Chicago fans, y'all want to incorporate that, go ahead and do so. But those are going to be your top wideouts. So it makes it interesting to see if these guys are going to be the ones to step up in DJ Moore's absence. Likewise, it will also be interesting, just on the outside looking in, between Caleb and Garrett Bradbury after Drew Dahlman's retirement. So everybody kind of looks at it and thinks center is not a super important position, but when you look at it in its totality, like for example with the Eagles and when Jason Kelce left, Jason had a lot to do with setting the protection. So for somebody who's a young player like Caleb Williams, I don't know throughout his career has he had to account for the adjustment at the line of scrimmage. Is he setting the protection, or will Garrett Bradbury be the ones to set the protections this year? So it'll be interesting to see kind of like how they incorporate it and how they do it. But I just want to see kind of that chemistry between the center and Caleb Williams. I like Kobe Bryant as y'all's new addition. Y'all had the most interceptions last year, so he continuing to add to the ball hawking secondary. It'll be a good fit, but even if you think about it, y'all may not be getting as many turnovers this year, which is okay. If you get punts, you force the team to field goals or into long field goal situations where they're forced to make it, then it could be advantageous. Now, looking at that, y'all got Al Harris. I think he's probably one of the best secondary coaches that we have in the NFL, and likewise, he definitely should be a candidate for defensive coordinator pretty soon, but who knows with the NFL. But I definitely think y'all have a great secondary. All right, moving on. I got some injuries that are coming into camp. Speaking of Kobe Bryant, he's out 4 to 6 weeks with this knee injury. So who knows how it's going to turn out, but especially for a secondary, you having the back pedal, stop, start, that's the knee is going to be crucial. So hopefully it's not too bad. Likewise, LB3, Luther Burton III. He's week to week with a groin injury, and likewise with training camp, we got Kyler Gordon, who's also going to be battling through some injuries. So with that, it's 100% guaranteed that somebody's going to get injured. You just hope the severity is not something that's going to cost the team throughout the season, or if it is something like that, it's minimal, or depending on the certain games, it's not as crucial to have that person out there. But overall, for the season and for the chemistry, it'll be interesting to see how all of these injuries do incorporate themselves. So looking at it, let's check out y'all's schedule. So the Bears, y'all start off with Carolina and Minnesota. You should be 2-0. Granted, the Minnesota game is at Soldier Field, so I'm always going to give an advantage to divisional teams, especially if they're at home. No matter how bad that they are, like Eagles fans, y'all know with us in Washington, they haven't been good for the past couple of years, except for 2024. But overall, you just want to look at it like, hey, your division knows you the best, so it's definitely a possibility that they could pull out a win, especially with Kyler Murray being the quarterback and them not having been used to it. So 2-0, I feel like worst case y'all could be 1-1. Then you got week 3 against the Birds. So with it, I definitely want to be able to see how we do, get that revenge game from the Black Friday. Y'all definitely going to be running the ball all over the field unless like y'all did last time, but that's going to be a great game for the world to see, and I think it'll be a good barometer for both teams just to kind of see how they're going to fare as far as who's going to be actual competitors for the entire NFC. Following that, y'all got a pretty good breeze after y'all play us. So y'all got the y'all got the Jets, the Packers, and then at Atlanta. So even with Atlanta, I don't think they're going to be a very good team this year, so we can count that as a win. At Green Bay, toss-up, given that they're at home. It's not going to be super cold, but even if it was, Chicago, y'all can handle it because it's way colder in Soldier Field. what it is over there in Wisconsin. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know the Midwest cold, and it's cold regardless during the later parts of the year. And then, of course, before that, you got the Jets. So it should be a breeze versus the Jets. I feel like Green Bay defensively will probably still be getting healthy. And Atlanta, you really don't know what kind of team they're going to have, but I don't think it's going to be much. So following that, you got the Patriots at Seahawks, and then the Bucks, and you have a bye week. I feel like all those are toss-up games. Granted, we look at the Pats, they're still the runner-up from the Super Bowl last year. The defense is good. They got Gonzo, you got Milton Williams there. And offensively, A.J. Brown should be contributing to the offense like they should be. But overall, like weapons-wise, I'm not sure what the Patriots are going to be coming with. But good coaching and favorable, so you can always chalk that up. I think y'all lose to the Seahawks, even though they don't have some of the same pieces that they had to the Super Bowl run. I still think that the head coach there is going to be really, really good for their defense. So even if they lose players, they go away in free agency trades, he's going to have whoever is going to be the next starter ready and set to go. Then the Bucks. Honestly, if we're at the Buccaneers, beginning of the year, kind of like how whenever we play down there, or whenever anybody plays down there at the beginning of the year, it's hot, it's humid, you really don't know what's going on. So I don't think the Bucks will be at their tip top, but I don't think they'll be bad either. So from there, you're coming off the bye. You got a cupcake in New Orleans. Then you got your divisional opponent in Detroit and Jacksonville. So Detroit, again, it's a divisional game. Jacksonville, I don't really know what kind of team they're going to be. They were great defensively. They ended up with a 13-4 record, but who knows where they're going to be at this time of the year. But then they ended off, y'all then had at Miami, at Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, and at Minnesota. So when we look at the schedule overall, and I guess if you want to look at those games, you got a dub in Miami. That's everybody's dub this year. Buffalo in their new stadium could be a loss. Green Bay at home, Detroit at home, could be wins there, especially if we're going off the divisional advantages. And then at Minnesota. So, who knows? At Minnesota at the end of the year, they could be pushing for, a top pick. Well, they could be pushing for a playoff spot depending on how well they play. But overall for Chicago, I think y'all will be minimum 13-4, the worst maybe 11-6. Questions for the Bears. Will Caleb take the next step? That's probably like my biggest question. Because if you think about it, when you look at quarterback contracts, especially for first rounders, those first 3-4 years are basically free money as compared to the market. So on average, like top quarterbacks are getting somewhere between 50 and 52. I think that's where Baker Mayfield was actually trying to get to for his upcoming contract if he gets one. But for Caleb, it's going to be, hey, you could be due for 60-something million. Chicago Bears have not had a quarterback like Caleb Williams in a while, so I don't know if they're actually going to be hesitant to pay him. I doubt they will, considering, but he's going to have to show it. Jalen Hurts went to a Super Bowl in his second full year starting, so you would almost expect the same from somebody who they consider a top quarterback. You got the Madden cover athlete, so does the Madden curse stick, or does he excel past it? And likewise for me, just as a fan, y'all got to go deep into the playoffs. Y'all had the wild card win against Green Bay last year, and then you lost to the Rams in the divisional. So the next step is supposed to be the NFC Championship and maybe even the Super Bowl. So really, I feel like a lot of that's going to be on the back of Caleb Williams. You got Ben Johnson. As much hype as he gets, I think y'all can actually get there with him. So in his third season, maybe he's continuing to make the offense a little bit more his own. He's definitely going to be throwing in some wrinkles in there. So it's exciting to see. All right, moving on. So we got the Packers. Honestly, as far as y'all's additions go, I like how y'all got Hargrave and Ben St. Juste. I had one of my friends, she was able to give me that pronunciation. Zaire Franklin and Tyrod Taylor, who's a decent backup. So the losses for y'all, I don't think are going to be super, super terrible. Dobbs, that may be more of a less production, but maybe more of an addition by subtraction, because that suspension that he had for missing those 2 practices last year, that was kind of weird. So maybe he's an addition to the locker room. And then that makes it interesting too. You got Dobbs and A.J. Brown in the same wide receiver room, so God knows how that's going to be. But if anything, Jayden Reed probably going to get a lot more touches, and then with y'all re-signing Christian Watson, hopefully he can stay healthy, man. He's been a dog anytime that he's been out there on the field, but he just is not out there on the field consistently. Then, in addition to that, for the players that are already in your team, Micah and Tucker Kraft's injury. So, luckily, Kraft's back out there at practice. Who knows how well he's going to be for week 1, but Micah is probably not going to be ready until October. And I know that's more so a Packers thing. They don't let people. I think they don't let people practice 9 months after having some kind of a leg injury. So that's good. And I can appreciate that from them. So really, it's just like looking at that point, are they both going to be 100% by midway through the season? And what does y'all record look like midway through the season? So with it overall, if you're a Packers fan, you realize that last year was very mediocre. Just calling it plain. If I was a Packers fan, y'all were way too up and down. I mean, you got blown out by the Lions and the Commanders the first 2 weeks of the season, and then you lost, 10-13 to Cleveland? And Cleveland was nobody. Granted, yes, they still had Myles Garrett back then, but offensively, meh. And then also to that, you have lost at Carolina. Yes, they did win the division, probably the worst division there in the NFL. But you lost to the Panthers, who really had no expectations, and you lost to a Lamar Jackson's Ravens team. So the way I look at it, it's really, really up and down for y'all. And then going into the training camp, in addition to y'all having Micah's not going to be there, Lucas Van Ness is actually dealing with a shoulder injury. And as a defensive end, you need your shoulders. Eagles fans, y'all know, we saw what Jalen Carter wasn't able to do with his shoulder injury. So who's going to be that pass rusher coming off the edge, not only to set the run, but to also get to the quarterback when you're those 3rd and long, 4th and short situations. I don't know what Jonathan Gannon's going to do. Honestly, all Eagles fans are still pissed off at him because of how he did us during the Super Bowl. I mean, damn, dude, 35 points in the second half we gave up to the Chiefs. And, I mean, Gannon wasn't really, really too focused on the actual game plan. He was already ready set to be the head coach of the Cardinals. He wasn't really into the game plan, I don't feel like. But, we'll see how he goes. He has a similar scheme to Vic Fangio, even though everybody likes to say, like, you're just picking an apple off the tree if you went under or, like, coached under Vic Fangio. But we'll see how he actually does. So, looking at the schedule, y'all start off the year with Minnesota, the Jets, and Atlanta. If you're not 3-0 in that regard, I think it's going to be a problem. So when you look at all these teams, I have the quarterback and you have the coaching advantage. So you really should not have any problems starting off 3-0, maybe 2-1, worst case scenario if Minnesota's good. But the Jets and Atlanta, I don't see doing anything. So if y'all lose to those two teams, it could be a problem for Packers fans. Then you get the rest of the top half of the schedule. You got week 4, Bucks, Bears, Cowboys, and then at Atlanta. So really with that, man, I mean, it's still early in the season and they are giving y'all a lot of home games, but the Cowboys should be a lot better. You got your divisional opponent in the Bears, so they're coming into y'all's house. And then you go into the Lions to kind of end that up for week 7. So really a lot of these I feel like could be toss-up games because we honestly don't know how good they're going to be or how bad they're going to be. And we all know historically Jordan Love doesn't necessarily produce or become Superman until it started getting cold outside, which is okay. But if you have a bad start to the season, then that pretty much shuts it all the way down and it doesn't really matter what you're doing there through the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see how they start off. But after that, after that you got the Panthers game, which isn't a gimme, but it could be pretty decent. Then you got at the Patriots, probably a loss, and then week 10 at the Vikings before the bye week. So from there, toss-ups, honestly, but Vikings you should be. I don't know if y'all will beat the Patriots, but who knows how good they'll be. Then you got your Rams, at Saints, Bills, Dolphins, Malik Willis homecoming, at Bears, Texans, and Lions. So I mean, high end, if y'all really, really push for y'all's potential as a team, you could win 14, maybe even 15 games looking at the schedule. But if stuff gets nasty, if stuff's getting bad, y'all could be on the low end on like 8-9 as far as y'all's overall record. But looking at it, what kind of questions do I have? Man, what is Jordan Love? Like, I'm sorry, like all the ESPN pundits, they like to give a lot of credit and credence to Jordan. Me personally, I didn't even put him in my top 5 as far as who is under the most pressure. Because I don't see him as a quarterback who's actually under any kind of pressure because he's not. I don't expect anything from him, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if y'all look at it too, it's like I feel like they did pay him a little bit too early. I mean, they were kind of desperate given that they just got rid of Aaron Rodgers. So really, I don't think they would have paid him if they would have waited after that 2024 season. I mean, Packers fans, y'all let me know and tell me where I'm wrong. But, I mean, y'all lost to us twice. They only won 1 division game in 2024, and he played in all those games. So I just don't really know what kind of quarterback that he is, but I do think y'all paid him a little bit too early. Overall, I think Matt LaFleur, he's a good coach, but it's kind of weird how his name keeps getting popped up as far as a coach of potential on the hot seat. At least that's how it was last year. So it'll be very, very interesting to see like if the Packers were to have a bad season, who do they blame it first? Do they blame it on the offense and Jordan Love, or do they blame it on Matt LaFleur, who's the offensive coordinator and runs the entire team? So it'll be pretty interesting to see what y'all actually do and how the season goes along. Moving forward, we got the Vikings. Good God, man. I really don't know what y'all are going to do. Congrats to Kyler Murray, Dallas native, for being able to take the quarterback position, even though I don't feel like you had much competition. Kevin O'Connell, KOC, good head coach. I mean, he was able to do a lot with Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. I mean, they resurrected their careers under Kevin O'Connell. And then you got Brian Flores. So I think y'all will be pretty decent on offense and defense. So with it, hopefully Jettas is settled. He likes him as a quarterback, and maybe if Kyler does good, they honestly can give him like a 3, maybe 4-year deal similar to what the Bucks gave Baker Mayfield. So I'm confident that y'all should be a lot better this year. But when you look at the actual schedules when it gets to the nitty-gritty, so you start with Green Bay, at Chicago, at Tampa. You could be 0-3, just being realistic. You may get a win there at Tampa, with Tampa coming into y'all's building, but at Chicago, Green Bay at home, who knows? I mean, I say 1-2, 0-3 at the worst, or maybe 2-1. Then you got Miami. You're at Miami, at New Orleans, and then you have a bye week. So I don't really know how much difference Kyler's gonna make. He does play better indoors, or at least we've seen that he does play better indoors. So maybe at Miami, it's hot. Who knows? But then you got New Orleans. That could be a toss-up, but I don't think New Orleans would be as terrible as what everybody is thinking, and I'll talk about that in another video. So with it, overall, there's not a lot of injuries that are coming for them, except for, this most recent preseason game where Jamal Adams, former safety for the Jets, is now playing linebacker, but he got carted off. So Kevin O'Connell, after his press conference, wasn't really too excited per se. He's really kind of pessimistic in my opinion, but who knows how long Adams may be out there. But with it, moving forward, you got Indiana at Detroit, Buffalo at Green Bay. I say 2-2 with those games, and then you got 3 straight home games with San Francisco, Atlanta, Carolina, and then you end up the year with New England, at New England, Detroit, Washington, at New York, and then Chicago. So honestly, man, I got a lot of cupcakes at the end, and we say cupcakes now just based off of how it was at the end of the season. So no disrespect to any other teams who may be better at the time of this video whenever the season starts, but I don't see Atlanta and Carolina really doing too much. Washington, who knows how they'll be. And then at the Giants, I don't think they'll be anything special. More so, I think overall, looking at y'all, how does Kyler Murray look? And if Kyler Murray is not the guy, then what do they do with J.J. McCarthy? If Kyler Murray does look like the guy, I mean, do they trade J.J. McCarthy? And his value is like completely plummeted. I mean, they might get a 5th or a 6th round pick for him, but nobody's going to be paying any top compensation to them to be able to take this problem off their hands, especially if especially if Kyler's actually good. So with it, I think y'all probably aren't going to win the division, just being honest, but I feel like y'all can keep it competitive. Low end, maybe 6 or 7 wins, but if everything goes right, team plays well, you win some games that maybe you shouldn't win, you could be on the opposite end of 11 wins. So I don't know, man. We'll see how it goes. Lastly, we got Detroit. So of the people, I say overall for like the entire NFL, this team plus another team are the only ones I see going from worst to first, just based on their schedule and how they are. So as far as the additions go, I feel like Davenport, he can actually be pretty good. As far as like his addition, I hate that they lost Anzalone and Montgomery. Anzalone was just the victim of the franchise tag. It's just like, man, if y'all like a player, hopefully in the next collective bargaining agreement, all these players actually, sit down and they're like, all right, let me actually fight for something that's going to be good. Because the franchise tag, especially if you're a good player, it's an excuse for them not to pay you and commit to you long term. So the way I look at it, Anzalone is going to be a great addition for the Bucks, but I hate that y'all lost him. Similarly, I hate that y'all lost Montgomery too, because Montgomery was a good secondary bell cow back, but I don't think he is going to have, maybe he's not going to have the season that he wants to down there in Houston, but I think he'll be good. At least he was a really good backup for them. But Pacheco, I think he's on his last legs, and also in addition to that, he's dealing with the knee and MCL injury. So hopefully he's on track to return for the season, but I don't expect him to carry the same workload as David Montgomery did. Other than that, you got Gibbs. Glad y'all got him paid, man. And, hey, all these running backs, I need to thank Saquon Barkley for these contracts that y'all are getting, man. So definitely shout out to Saquon on that. But with it, Cade Mays expected to miss 8 to 10 weeks with the wrist fracture. So that's already a dent in, the actual protection of the offensive line. And we see Jared Goff's numbers from when he's not getting pressure versus when he is. It's day and night difference. So if you're getting pressure up the middle, I know we don't play y'all this year, but when you have someone like a Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis, a Vita Vea, Nagi Ngakoue, I think that's the one for the Baltimore Ravens. Like when you got guys like him, that could be really bad. And I really can't think of anybody for the Lions that y'all actually play that have that issue. But going into it, y'all don't have Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. Both of them are going to be on the PUP list. And with Kirby Joseph, man, I don't know if he's going to be able to play like he is, especially the way that he was talking in that Instagram post. So, hopefully y'all are good there. And then, you got y'all crash out with Terry Arnold. Crazy that the Seahawks signed him. I'm like, this dude was up for like a felony. So maybe he got some kind of plea with the prosecutor, do some community service, he on probation or something like that. But having lost him, the defense is going to always be the question for y'all considering. But like I said, I think y'all can go from worst to first. Starting off, y'all week one at the Saints. We're going with the Saints coming to Detroit. I think that'll be a win considering they're still going to be trying to get their ducks in a row. But then you got to go to the Bills. The Bills week 2 is going to be a barometer game for both teams, I feel like, because the Bills haven't just come from Houston during week 1. We really don't know how beat up or how healthy that they're actually going to be. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But then weeks through 5, it's a lot of travel involved there. So y'all go to the Jets. The Jets come there, but then you got at Panthers, and then you got at Cardinals. So being in the Midwest, y'all definitely going to do some traveling. But overall, I think y'all probably going to start the year off 4-1, maybe 5-0, just depending on how things happen. But then weeks 7 through 8, you got Green Bay and the Vikings. So divisional games, so you never really know. But luckily, they're both at home, so we really don't know how badly any of the other teams are going to play. But I'll give y'all the advantage even if they're home games. Week 9, you got the Dolphins, so it could be a sneaky game for the Dolphins. Not to say that they're going to be anything to sneeze at or they're going to be anything good, but from week 9, then you got to go week 10 to Munich, Germany, where you play the Patriots. So everything in the middle of the season, we don't know how important that game is going to be for Detroit, but given the fact that, you have the Dolphins, we always have those games where we're thinking ahead, and it's potential that the Dolphins could be that sneak up game before the Patriots. So from there, y'all got some decent ones coming after that at Chicago. You got Tampa right after that, Chicago. 4 days later, then you got Tennessee, Minnesota, the Giants, Chicago again, and then Green Bay. So overall, I think 12-5 record, maybe 8-7 for the Detroit Lions. But I think y'all probably will be the ones coming out the division, or at least a wild card spot, depending on how the rest of the NFC shakes up. So thank y'all again for rocking with me. I appreciate y'all staying here. If you did stay for the whole video, really, really appreciate that. But yeah, man, like, subscribe to the video, share with your mom and them so we can continue to grow the channel. But this is the NFC way too early divisional winners with the NFC North. Thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a good day.